Hi there, welcome. This is the Kelly's Astrology podcast, where you can find insight, guidance, and understanding through astrology. I'm Kelly, and I'll be your host. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back. After an unexpected week off, I am excited to be back with you. There is so much astrology happening around this second week in March. So today's episode is going to pick up with a look at the astrology of the week starting Saturday, March 9th. We had family stay in February, and due to a couple of unexpected events, they ended up extending their trip, which meant lots more family fun time, but it did mean that I wasn't able to get a show together for you all last week. Thank you so much for your patience and understanding. As I look forward, there are two astro events that I want to explore a little together today. And these are the new moon in Pisces, which is on Sunday, March 10th, as well as a kind of dramatic Mars square Uranus aspect, which is happening on March 9th or March 10th, depending on where you are. Just before I do, I also want to let you know that my monthly astrology guide membership is celebrating its 5th birthday. Way back in 2019, I was noticing longer and longer wait lists for my clients to book in for a session with me. And so I wanted to try and put something together that would allow me to share some general timing info that clients and students could apply to their own chart. Tony and I put our thinking caps on, and we came up with the idea of the monthly astrology guide offering. In that monthly astrology guide offering, I get to share all the timing tips that I'm keeping in mind as I plan the month ahead. And members get the chance to access all this insight, to benefit from all of this astrology perspective. And that helps members just like you organize their time and manage their energy. It's kind of hard to believe that that was 5 years ago now. And so we're celebrating. And right now we have a couple of special offers to save on your membership. So if you've been thinking about joining the astrology monthly guide, or you're looking for an astrology community, there are a couple of special offers available until March 14th. So if you haven't yet become part of this gorgeous astrological community, maybe this is your time. You'll be able to save 20% off a yearly subscription to the monthly astrology guide, or you can sign up for the monthly option and get a free month. I'm going to share the link below. When you're a member, you get access to all the astrology insights that you need to make empowered choices and to really work with the planetary cycles. Inside the membership, you get info about the best date each week to take action around your different goals and dreams. And I also share info about the low vibe days or any of those funky aspects that might be occurring so that you can manage your schedule and expectations accordingly. As you learn to track the planetary cycles, both in the sky and then through your own chart, you're going to become more efficient with your energy and more effective with the actions that you take. Basically, it's a guide that helps you align your intentions with the energy of the moment. One of the best ways that I know to get better at astrology is to actually work with the planets, to work with the different cycles, to understand what a transiting aspect might mean, to live it, and then to learn from it. And so inside the membership, if you're a member to the monthly astrology guide, you get everything you need to support your journey with astrology. There are exclusive videos, downloadable PDFs, worksheets. Everything is updated every month, so the content is renewed and refreshed for the month ahead. If you're ready to sign up, if you want more astrology in your life, and if you want to get better at astrology, pop over to my website, kellysastrology.com. Just a little bit down on the homepage, you'll see a option to click through, and you could use that code annual 2024 when you check out. I will also share the direct link to the membership sale offer in the show notes below if that's of interest. And for those of you who are listening who are already members, I look forward to catching up with you in our private members Q&A, which is happening on March 8th. So with that fun sort of celebratory message shared, let's get back to the astrology of this week. It's funny when you look back and you think, oh my gosh, I've been doing this particular project or offering for, this big chunk of time. And you sort of think, wow, where did 5 years go? But it has been a really fun thing to do. So I look forward to seeing some of you in the membership, if that's a good fit for you. And if not, let's get into the astrology of this week. So, as I mentioned, I'm going to talk a little bit about the new moon in Pisces, and I'm also going to talk about the Mars square Uranus aspect. I'm going to talk about the new moon in Pisces first, even though it technically happens second, partly because it's going to have a bit of an impact for a longer time period. So, this new moon in Pisces, it is a sparkling jewel of a new moon. It shines, it shimmers, it stimulates. It is a really beautiful new moon. The new moon is in Pisces, so there may be a focus on dreams, on feelings, and on the desire for more ease, joy, or inspiration. After all, Pisces is the only zodiac sign where both the benefic planets, Venus and Jupiter, have lots of dignity. So sometimes when we get an activation in Pisces, especially when it's a bit more of a positive one, it is sort of that reminder that you're allowed to have joy and pleasure in your life, that you're allowed to make space for meaning and wisdom and purpose. And sometimes it's a little bit of a reminder to move towards that. So the new moon in Pisces has got a lot of that sort of juicy benefic energy, but there are other factors as well. The new moon will be at 20 degrees in Pisces. It is on Sunday, March 10th in most parts of the world. And at 20 degrees Pisces, so if you have a planet or an angle at 20 Pisces, then this new moon is going to be especially potent for you. But whether it's especially potent for you or not, the new moon at 20 Pisces makes a really lovely sextile aspect with Uranus, who is at 19 Taurus. And that sextile from Uranus is a lively, activating aspect. It can help get things moving. So a stuck situation might shift. You might kind of tap into that sense of flow or kind of gentle but enjoyable movement and progress. Or you might connect with inspiration that helps you make a wild but totally right for you choice. When I'm teaching about aspects, I always say that like a sextile from Uranus is sort of a manageable amount of Uranus energy. So it's sort of a manageable or a welcome amount of excitement or innovation or freshness or newness or energy. So it's stimulating and activating without being overwhelming. And Uranus is going to bring this real sort of curiosity about new things and new possibilities. Knowing that the new moon will set the tone for the next 2 weeks. So a new moon is active on a particular day, but its energy flavors the following 2 weeks. That kind of indicates that this new moon is really favorable for change, for refresh, for reset. This new moon with its sextile to Uranus is almost like an omen about things being in flux or a little bit up in the air. Pisces is, after all, a variable, mutable sign. So Pisces is one of those signs that kind of comes and goes, and yes, over here and also over there. It's easily distracted, and it's also very able to kind of adapt on the fly. So we've got this variable, mutable energy of the new moon in Pisces, and we're adding this kind of restless, curious, willing to change and shake things up Uranus quality. And that can mean that you might have a feeling of anything being possible, that a dream is a closer or more within reach than you thought. It also indicates that everything is kind of up for review or renewal, like there is nothing that's not on the table right now. So you may be approaching current life with this more open, curious, questioning point of view. What if we did this differently? How would it be if we approach this like that instead of like this? So we want to be open to that kind of like gentle shaking that can refresh and re-energize. I mentioned that we have had family staying, and as a result of that, we've kind of used our home and our space a little differently because, of course, we're accommodating different people. We had young kids in the house, so we're definitely approaching the house differently. And now that we're kind of sort of settling back into the house, having bid goodbye to our family, our house guests, there's a few things that we're like, oh, we should actually leave this like that. Or it was much better when we had those guests here and we did this like that instead of the way we did it before. So it's that idea of doing things differently and realizing that maybe there are some better options than the way you've been going about things. So that curiosity and that willingness, let's just see what it's like if we go in this direction instead of that. That's very much a part of this new moon, but also of the 2 weeks after. So the new moon is on March 10th. So for the 2 weeks right up until March 24th, 25th. Now, this is also the last lunation before we dive into eclipse season. So the full moon that follows this new moon, which is on March 25th, is actually a lunar eclipse, a full moon eclipse in Libra. And so if there are any particular special new moon intentions or rituals that you like to do, you want to get that done and do that under this new moon in Pisces on March 10th. This is actually going to be about 2 months before we get to the next new moon that's not an eclipse. Eclipses are sort of an interruption to the normal rhythm of things, and we don't usually use eclipse lunations for those normal intention setting or growth oriented rituals. And so we're not going to want to do that under the next new moon, which is the eclipse, the big solar eclipse in Aries in April. So you do want to use this new moon in Pisces for any of that intention setting or new moon ritual work that you like, because it'll be a couple of months before we get a non-eclipse new moon to do so. So this new moon in Pisces is sextile Uranus. That's one piece: movement, energy, change, refresh. But this new moon is also ruled by Jupiter, as anything in Pisces is. Now, at the time of this new moon in Pisces, Jupiter will be in Taurus as well. Jupiter is still quite involved or interacting with Saturn. They've been in this ongoing kind of sextile relationship, but Jupiter is also moving towards Uranus. So Jupiter, the ruler of this new moon, which influences the new moon itself, has a lot going on as well. The Jupiter-Saturn flow is a little bit more about that sort of deeper feeling into and creating the container, that structure for the dreams that you hold. So the Jupiter-Saturn piece is figuring out more major and longer term developments, like gradually but consistently tweaking the flow or the focus so that new priorities are allowed to take shape. So that Jupiter-Saturn piece is really encouraging you to focus on longer term plans, dreams, and changes, as if you're wanting to figure out that right form or structure for those dreams or kind of hopes that you have inside. The Jupiter-Saturn piece is gently supportive, like getting a nudge towards something that's meaningful or important. Jupiter's kind of increasing closeness to the planet Uranus. So Jupiter will meet Uranus in Taurus in April, but that is already being felt right now. So Jupiter's proximity to Uranus at the time of this new moon really has this electric quality. And it means that the energy flowing from Jupiter into and through the new moon is really exciting. It's very electric. It's kind of that lightning bolt energy. Wild ideas, radical dreams about a different kind of life. Maybe you're fantasizing about having more freedom or being your own boss or not being so restrained by routine or responsibility. These may be things that you're really holding on to under this new moon, ruled by Jupiter, which is getting so close to Uranus. And that's where we get more of that kind of repeated theme. We're getting the repetition of theme, I should say, of this idea of wild ideas, big changes, exciting shakeups. Whichever way I come at this new moon, I get this sense of the tides changing. The flow is shifting towards new dreams and possibilities. Like, we are ready for the next chapter. Where are we going to from here? And there's also this undercurrent of both energy, like a lively, active, enthusiastic quality that suggests you might be more ready for a big reset than you think. So if you're contemplating a change, a small change or a big change, this new moon in Pisces, with its aspect to Uranus being ruled by Jupiter, which is also connecting to Uranus, it really sort of says, why not? Why not now? Let's have a go. And so it is very activating in that kind of manageable way, the new moon in Pisces. So Adding extra fuel and maybe extra intensity to this restless energy or this curious energy of the new moon is that dramatic square from Mars in Aquarius to Uranus in Taurus, which I mentioned. Now, this aspect is happening on Saturday, March 9th, but on Sunday, if you're in Australia. So it's technically just before the new moon, and it's from 19 Aquarius to 19 Taurus. Now, Mars square Uranus, this is definitely a more volatile, dramatic aspect. In fact, any kind of the dynamic or classically hard aspect from Mars to Uranus, which could include the square, the opposition, or the conjunction, these aspects have some chaos in them. It's almost like restlessness or frustration reaches a peak, and that need to push, to shake up, to lash out can be hard to resist. So we want to be really aware of that kind of restless, even rebellious tendency emerging under this Mars Uranus aspect this weekend. Mars square Uranus has an unpredictable quality. It's got a wild card energy, and it's definitely an aspect that suggests you'll want to expect the unexpected. Surprises and out of the blue developments, opportunities, or changes are definitely likely. People might act in unusual ways, and in fact, you too might find that you change your mind or suddenly want something different than what you had planned. When we're under a Mars Uranus aspect, any tension points or any disagreements that you're in can seem more heated. And in fact, you might be more fierce or firm about your stance or your needs. This is a little bit of a stubborn, resistant, like a refusing to compromise type of energy. This Mars square Uranus aspect, which does form across two fixed signs, Aquarius and Taurus, it feels more like something breaking rather than something blending or adapting, as if something is sort of snapping or coming apart, maybe suddenly, but perhaps with good reason. So this Mars square Uranus aspect is more separative in its tone. So it may be a time where you're striking out on your own or you're breaking away from someone or something. Any irritation that you might have with a routine or responsibility. I mean, I don't know about you, but there are certain routines and responsibilities that I don't love, but I do because I know that they need to be done, like the cat litter, for instance, or taking the garbage out on garbage day. I don't get super irritated about them, but sometimes I'm more annoyed than others. So it's not quite that regular stuff, but if something has really been causing you to feel a bit hot and a bit heated, these irritations, especially about something that's starting to feel really restrictive or very limiting, that might spill over into a bit of a dramatic choice or sort of a rebellious development this weekend. This particular Mars square Uranus aspect, it's at its peak Saturday for most of us, Sunday if you're in Australia. But because of how Mars moves a little bit more slowly than something like the Sun or Mercury or Venus, we're probably going to be feeling pretty much a peak or a full strength of this Mars square Uranus aspect Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So March 8th, 9th, 10th, maybe a little bit into Monday as well. And so you're going to want to be flexible. You want to give yourself time and space to be spontaneous. You're going to want to sort of just keep in mind that restlessness that might spill over into feeling very rebellious or resistant, even if you feel like you're being pushed towards something you just don't want to do. There is an impulsive quality in that sense of like, I don't want to do what I don't want to do. I can't be forced. It's sort of resistant. It's aware of your authentic choice. That's the undertone of this Mars Uranus is I know what I need and I'm not able to compromise or to see another point of view here. So there's that stubbornness, but there's also that sense of the authenticity of what's right for you. Mars Uranus, it's so quick and so kind of spicy and hot that we're going to make, all of us are probably going to make at least one, maybe two or three choices that are a little impulsive. It might be signing up for something. It might be spending something. It might be saying no to something. We're going to want to burn off this energy. We might be more active, and that would be a great way to use this energy, doing something physically active that you don't normally do, because there's a lot of heat. There's a lot of desire to move. Mars square Uranus is a dramatic aspect, and some of you might have a sudden change of heart or experience a bit of an upheaval over these few days. What I want to say as well, though, is that this is definitely an important aspect to keep in mind for the astrology of this second weekend in March. But don't forget that Mars interacts with Uranus like this every 4 months or so. Unless Mars is retrograde, we're getting one of these more dramatic Mars-Uranus aspects every 4 months. So these aspects are familiar to you. In the past 2 years, you've experienced this Mars square Uranus aspect twice. And we've also all experienced the conjunction of Mars and Uranus and the opposition of Mars and Uranus. So it's an important part of this week's astrology. It's something that only happens every 4 months or so, but it does happen every 4 months. And so you have navigated this kind of astro energy before. Now, this Mars square Uranus aspect is forming from 19 Aquarius to 19 Taurus. So if those degrees are important in your personal chart, then you might be most attuned to this week's Mars Uranus aspect. That would include you if you have planets or an angle around 19 degrees of any of the fixed signs. So maybe your moon is at 19 Leo, or you have the sun at 19 Scorpio, or you have your ascendant at 19 Taurus. And that personal important part of your individual chart is right in this kind of restless, rebellious Mars-Uranus aspect. The last time that Mars and Uranus were in aspect and close to this particular part of the zodiac was in July and August of 2022. And that's when Mars and Uranus made a conjunction at 18 Taurus. So if 18-19 Taurus or 18-19 Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius is important for you, it's likely that July, August of 2022 was a big time. And that also means this early March of 2024 is going to be a big time for you. Now, the other group of people who might be more attuned to and sensitive to a Mars-Uranus aspect like this are people, clients, charts where we have a lot of planets in Mars signs. So if you have a lot of placements in Aries or in Scorpio, the two signs ruled and influenced by Mars, then an aspect like Mars-Uranus will be more relevant for you as well. So between that new moon in Pisces, which has that sort of more gentle movement, and the Mars-Uranus aspect, which is like dramatic pushing, adjusting, it really is time to think about new things to move towards. You'll want to give yourself permission to do things differently, to run an experiment, to change your regular routine or patterns. This might mean that you're wanting to move away from certain habits, tendencies, or even people and responsibilities. There's a really fresh experimental quality coming this weekend. And I'd encourage you to make the most of it by listening to that little curious voice inside that wants to have a go or try something new, or is really feeling done with a certain thing. And maybe you give yourself permission to let that go and give yourself more space and openness to experiment with the new possibilities. Let me know how you're experiencing all this astro in the comments below. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. I will be back to share more again next week. Until then, take care.